the overseas studios doing the animation have these same brushes that the design team works on. And that guides everything we're doing. Clone Wars, we use a vast array of different textures and surfaces to kind of create a pseudo-realistic look. And here we're going for something that's much more what I would call an illustrative look. This drawing here then was a really quick sketch I had done to just kind of get the feeling and impression and bring some of these elements together. And this was one that I think the story team, we all thought, well, that feels like we're going with Star Wars to us. Those are actually the first TIE fighters I ever drew. I tweeted one day because I got excited about this, that I'd been at Lucasfilm 8 years and never drawn a TIE fighter. And you can go through my childhood and find tons of old drawings of you draw the TIE fighters on one side, the X-Wings on the other, and my brother and I draw lines across and scribble them out with an old war game. And so to officially draw a TIE fighter for Star Wars was a pretty fun moment for me.
Absolutely.
Here, we're just doing a little planning on how the ships might interact with the environment. I imagine in this series a TIE fighter may get shot down, a TIE fighter or two, which I do find exciting and moving forward. So these are all concept illustrations. This is an exploration of one of Ralph's towers and how it's going to appear in our animated series on this landscape of rolling green hills. I can hear all the little clickings and flashes going on out there.
Yeah, very excited to see these images. Now, if you could talk a little bit about the animation style, you touched on it, and I think Ralph's paintings suggest a fluidity somehow, which would be quite different to the style you established for Clone Wars, wouldn't it?
Yeah, as we develop Clone Wars more and more, when you look at the beginning of that series and the end of that series, they're dramatically different. I think what that shows from season 1 to 5 more than anything is the evolution of my crew and their understanding of how to work in the computer animation medium. And now that we're a part of Disney, one of the things I was really excited about was there's a whole bunch of new collaboration and communication open to us. Where before we were a very small, isolated animation studio. Now, Pixar has always been pretty much a sister studio to us because of its relationship with Lucasfilm. But now they literally are, part of the big Disney family. And besides them, also the Disney animation studios that are down in Los Angeles. So one film in particular really struck me that had come out was the movie Tangled. And I don't know how many of you saw that film, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought as a 2D animation artist, what they did in Tangled was they captured the essence of those old classic films in a way that I had never seen done in CG before. So I took some notes from that as far as the way the facial animation works, the roundness of the animation, and I've applied it to Rebels and actually crossed that with a bit of my other, someone who's really inspired me, probably as much as George, which is the filmmaker Miyazaki, the animator. The character, yeah, absolutely. So if you know our character Ahsoka really well, you'll notice that she has 2 big fangs painted on her cheeks. And that's a direct nod to the character San in Mononoke, who is, I thought, just a fantastically empowered character. And so I have that nod to her. It's one of the reasons I draw Ahsoka riding wolves all the time. And there's just something about Miyazaki's character design where he is so skillful at creating little, very cute Kadoma-like characters, little, really cartoons. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have these characters like, the Lady of Irontown and how she is very believable dramatically. And when you look at Star Wars, you'll have, characters like, Salacious Crumb or, Wicket, who are more of like, they almost feel like they're out of a Jim Henson film, like, this kind of, big, fun characters that are very expressive. And then you'll have, the Emperor on the other side of that dynamic, or you'll have the drama going on between the human characters. And so I think that's something that makes those movies feel very warm and relatable, that there's such a range across them, and we want to definitely get that into Rebels as well.
You want to bring that feeling into it as well?
I hope so, yeah. It's hard.
It's a challenge. Have you actually produced any kind of test animation stuff yet and things?
We are working as fast as possible, but we're not quite there yet. But we're getting there. I don't want you guys to get excited about something you're not going to see. So, we're developing a lot of new facial rigs. We have an entirely new facial rig system for this show compared to what we use on Clone Wars, and we're just really challenging ourselves to say how interesting and unique can we get this to feel compared to what we've done as artists before.
Right, and there's some new vehicles that you can tell.
We do have new vehicles. These are another example of some landscapes that we did. These are some city streets that we'll be doing that are very reminiscent of Ralph concept paintings. We can just go through these quickly. Next up, we have what is meant to feel like kind of a more Mos Eisley shanty town. all those elements in it. Go forward. Here we have Imperial Corridor.
I love that.
Is that, I don't know why, I just get so excited when I see that.
Yeah.
It's just a hallway. But that's like a hallway that everybody that was a kid when I was knows. I mean, we pictured ourselves running up and down these corridors. And something we didn't do a lot of on Clone Wars either is a lot of gloss reflections. When you look at the Imperials, you dissect everything. Nothing is accidental in the film. Everything is planned and figured out. Some of the accidents that do happen turn out to be great, but when you have glossy surfaces, really smooth surfaces, black, white, red, tiny accents, that's all Imperial, Imperial, Imperial. Think about that. You know, when you see the Rebels, what do you think? When you see Luke, he's wearing more sandy colored, brown colors. Han's wearing, multi-colors, Chewbacca brown. Those are the Rebels. A fun one to point out is Princess Leia, right? Princess Leia in the first movie wears what? She wears white. Why does she wear white? She's part of the Imperial Senate at the beginning of that movie, isn't she? So she's fitting in with the Empire, actually. So you see, this is all very intentional. When she talks to Vader or Tarkin, she speaks one way, right? Almost with a kind of British accent. When she talks to Han and Luke, listen to the way her dialogue kind of disintegrates down to like their more common language and way of speaking. So all these little details are very important to making the Star Wars universe work the way it does. So when we're doing a show like Rebels, we're making sure that all the Imperial surfaces are glossy and smooth and fit with the aesthetic that was set down by George in the very beginning of this saga. And so we can move forward, see a little bit more. This is a really fun one. We went through all Ralph's old concept sketches for how he wanted astromechs to work. So I love the R2 builders and the work that you guys do. I absolutely love challenging you guys because every year I come, the astromechs you make do more. So we're doing some of the, right?
We talk now.
Well, they do talk. That is rather jarring, actually, to be perfectly honest with you.
I know, it's a little odd. It is a little odd. Yeah.
I'm odd?
No, we just
take it as a plus. I mean, it means you're unique, ultimately.
Okay.
Oh, boy, we drew him in.
Just ignore him and he'll stay there.
but
I've got my eye on you.
All of them. But we're doing some clear dome astromechs, which I know they've done already, but we're doing them in Ralph proportions. We're also
Do you have any pointed at once?
It's possible. I won't say no. It's definitely in the vocabulary, so you would make a stunning addition to the team. Just saying,
Thank you.
You're looking good, my man.
Thank you.
But we're going to add arms coming out of the heads, like Ralph originally had planned for R2-D2. That was something that never got finished. If you go forward, you'll see a concept protocol droid.
Nobody cares about that. Move on. Next slide.
Well, what if Anthony's here? He'd care. I got to represent.
Yeah, they can talk and talk and talk.
Listen,
I can't speak to that, but...
Sorry, just hold on a second. See this?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get that on there.
There you go. Restrained. Okay. We can carry on now.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's restrained.
He's restrained now.
Yeah, it's done.
Does that mean he can just not... Now you've stuck him there. He can't go away, but he can still talk to us.
Well, you feel sorry for him now?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think he can talk.
Pretty
Can he
dominant
talk with that on?
for an Ewok.
No, he can't even talk with that on.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. So you know more than I do. You can be a show consultant. But let's move on from the protocol droid. Here's our Star Destroyer. Those of you that really know a lot of details, look at the love for the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys reacted like I do, which is you look at that, and when you realize it's going to be up on screen again, you go, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in a long time. We've been in the prequel era. We just finished, myself, I was in the prequel era for 8 years. Take that all the way back to Phantom Menace, and we're talking since 1999. So we have Star Destroyers, and you might notice a detail about the Star Destroyer that's different if you go to the next one. In A New Hope, the conning towers on the Star Destroyers had that big X shape on the top of them. And they're actually gone in Empire and Return of the Jedi. So we've put that back on these since they preceded New Hope. It's tiny little details like that that the crew is always aware of because we want to give everybody, a very connected piece of the Star Wars history. So, yeah, Imperial Star Destroyer. Go forward. Here's a cockpit interior that follows a lot of the design aesthetics that you'll find in the classic films. This notably you might see is reminiscent of a B-17 bomber cockpit. I love B-17s. And something that's obvious in the old films is a lot of the props. There wasn't a lot of fabrication. There was a lot of taking things that existed and adding to them and kitbashing them. So We based a lot of the parts in here on kind of the Roger Christian design sense of the classic films. And notice immediately the warm tones, which tells your eye that you're in a rebel atmosphere. You go for it. Here's our stormtrooper.
They get excited about anything bad, don't they?
They do. It's something I've noticed over the years. You know, the villains in Star Wars are very much loved, but as you know from being a hero in the Star Wars universe, when the heroes win in the end, it is one of the most exhilarating things. But when we rendered this stormtrooper, it's the crew I work with is just like a bunch of fans like you guys, and we just sit and stare at this, and we realize that. You know, we've done a bunch of clones, but we never got to do a stormtrooper. So that's actually a render of the computer model of our stormtrooper. You can see if you look closely, a lot of the texture and line work is meant to represent what Ralph McQuarrie, the way he paints. And then when you get to the proportions, they're pushed just a tiny bit to be a little bit more Miyazaki-esque, I guess is the word for it. And this drives 501st people crazy because they've changed the proportions of everything again, but they're so good at making this stuff. I mean, so I have to do it. When Commander Rex came up and talked to me the first time, I was just like, that's amazing. Because it was what I drew.
Yeah.
So every day I'm here, like things I drew just walk up and start talking to me. It's one of my favorite things about being here. And I'm judging the costume contest coming up, so please come back to that.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show.
Here's our TIE Fighter. Again, those of you that are very specifically into the vehicles will notice that we've actually cropped the wings of the TIE Fighter shorter like what Ralph McQuarrie would draw the TIE Fighter, and we've kept the body of it smoother than all the greebly details that we would see in A New Hope. A lot of the detail on the surface, if you spin the tie around here, you can see it's actually drawn on with pencils. That does a couple things for us in production. It gives us a great visual style, I think, but it also gives us a really quick render time, which is really important for a show like ours. There's our TIE Fighter. Let's go forward. This is a new and exciting vehicle you don't know about. This is our Rebel vehicle. This is a ship we call, I like this one. This is a ship we call the Ghost.
The Ghost.
The Ghost. Cool. And, you'll see that it's pretty much a cross between a B-17 bomber cockpit center with the Millennium Falcon with some axes taken from different movies. Simon Gregg and I talked about this one pretty specifically because it's a pretty big centerpiece for the show. It's going to be this ship. We all liked the sense in the classic films that, the Millennium Falcon, that was like a ship. It was like a place. It was something we all knew. It was like a home. There's actually a render of the model of the ship. And we wanted to give this new generation of kids a place that they could go someplace they felt safe when they're on the run from the Empire, because an exciting dynamic is we're on the run again. We got to keep moving from place to place. We can't stay in one position because the Empire is controlling the whole galaxy. So we needed a home and a ship, and we got some little bubble turrets on it, a front gun, a back gun, because I just love that scene in A New Hope where they're being chased by TIE fighters and shooting all around, and that's a scene George used all the documentary footage to shoot. And here's a little bit of it in action. So that's a concept painting of what you can expect to see on the show. And we're working very, very hard to figure out how to bring that to life.
Fantastic.
One of the other is it?
Yeah.
The new logo.
Yeah.
Would you like to see the logo for Rebels? There it is. Here's our logo for Rebels. So much thought went into this, you can't possibly imagine. We wanted a logo that really said Star Wars Rebels. And there it is. It says exactly that. And even more exciting, what's this, swag?
Yeah, some swag here.
Swag. Let's look at this. Have I seen this? I think I have. Oh my gosh. We have this exclusive t-shirt. And we have this exclusive t-shirt of the Ghost. Like a blueprint. I always love the old blueprint books, so we thought this would be a great design for you guys. And we're going to give some of these away right now.
Oh, wait.
Is that right?